We're live.
Menendez 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Hey, Lainey
Hello,
Law.
everyone. Thank you for tuning in to today's live. I'm Lainey Law,
I'm attorney Andrew Myers.
and we have decided we're going to try to go every Tuesday going on these lives. So nice to see you today, Andrew.
Good to see you, Lainey Law. I know that you're really busy these days.
Yeah, things have been crazy with school clubs, but we
Wow.
appreciate everybody who tunes in. I see Donna Lembo, Moto Max, and Tina. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you guys. Dawn, I saw you chat earlier. Hello.
Yeah, it's great to have a few people. I know we have some competition today. I wanted to talk to, first of all, let's point out that Alexasrewm is our guest today. You and I are going to talk for a little bit, and then Alexis is going to join us at exactly 5:30 Eastern Time. I want to talk about Phillies Karen. Oh, my gosh. She stole a baseball from a little kid, but now there's some backlash. I want to talk about the expenses in the Karen Reed case. We've done a short and an episode, but there's still a lot more to dig into, and I think Alexis can help us with that. I want to look at two letters to the editor of the New York Post talking about Lyle and Eric Menendez. And you hang out in New York. If you called for a taxi, would you want a driverless taxi to come?
Oh my goodness.
It's happening. It's happening in New York. Seriously, I don't know.
Well,
I
I
don't know.
know like places, I want to say like Nevada has had like the Waymo driverless
Yeah.
taxis, but New York in particular, New York, Boston, I mean, maybe Nevada is similar, but like you have to be kind of feral to drive in New York. You have to sometimes just, rules are optional in New York. Sometimes the lines are optional. Sometimes there's so much random stuff that happens there.
Well, they're coming. They are coming to New York, apparently. And so we have a letter to the editor of the New York Post talking about that. So we'll ask our viewers in a little while, or now, if a driverless taxi came after you called and it was driverless, would you get in? Would you get in the taxi?
Me personally, I would honestly kind of be grateful because I've had some questionable taxi rides in my life. Thankfully, I'm here and safe right now, but you hear so many Uber horror stories, but at the same time, like it's also freaky just it's like I feel like I'm like I don't have a bad time driving in New York and I feel like it's still brutal. So like even last time I was there, it's just like people just choose to do whatever they want with the lanes. You're gonna have cars hanging out, deliveries and stuff happening. A lot of it I feel like requires really quick thinking, and I don't know how reactive these cars are.
Yeah, I don't know either. When the insurance companies, of course, wanted to get driverless cars on the road because they say 93 or 90. I did a blog article on this a long time ago, and I forget the exact statistic, but the insurance companies claim that, according to their statistics, 92, 93, 94% of all accidents are due to human error. So they want to get drivers out of the driver's seat. So that's the impetus behind the whole thing. And when they first started putting driverless cars on the roads in Arizona and California, about a decade ago, there were accidents. There was a fatal. There were problems. But, technology is coming whether guys like me want it or not. I mean, so it's happening whether we want it or not. There are driverless tractor trailers on the road in some European countries. And I forget which ones. I want to say Sweden has them, and a bunch of other countries. But whether we want it or not, they're coming. But I don't know if I was I haven't spent a lot of time in my adult life in New York. The little time I've spent there, that's how you get around is from a taxi. You get to the airport, you call a taxi. But I spent a lot of time as a kid. I spent a lot of time there as a kid because I had family there. But I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. The way that I feel is that, like, I feel like there's so many people who are just menaces on the road right now where I can see the benefit of a driverless car in the sense that it's because the New York City taxi like the thing is just like if your taxi shows up and it is driverless, or on the other hand has a New York City taxi driver, it's just like, are you gonna get in? Whichever. It's like if I feel equal, I would say I would feel equally at risk because sometimes these taxi drivers the lights are on a timer and they know that kind of stuff and they just go for things and so I don't know. I mean, some of those drivers can be very aggressive. So in my perfect world, all cars would be driverless and they'd be able to communicate with each other. But then at the same time, maybe just have more public transportation at that point. I don't know.
In my perfect world, they would make getting a driver's license as hard as it is to get a pilot's license. And, 2 strikes, you're out. All right. First time you get a ticket, like when I was a kid and I blew a stop sign, that scared me. So, the second time, boom, no more driver's license. It should be as hard to get a driver's license as it is to get a pilot's license. It's too bad because there's too many people, there's too many cars. More and more people are getting licenses for a lot of different reasons. And fewer older people are retiring and getting out of their cars. I don't like driverless cars. I don't like the idea because it's run by, artificial intelligence and computers. Is there anybody in our huge, vast audience here that's ever had a computer that didn't crash at some point? I mean, so I don't trust computers. I don't trust driverless cars. Call me whatever you want, but I think it's a bad idea. I think it's a horrible idea. I mean, humans are terrible, but I just don't trust computers. I really don't.
I trust computers more than I trust other people on the road to keep me safe, which is, terrible. And we should really just trust our fellow, drivers on the road, and we really should be able to feel safe in the car. But I think everybody's kind of had driver horror stories at some point. I mean, your most memorable times when driving are not because of anything you do. It's because of the crazy stuff happening on the road where you're going home and saying, oh my God, today this person almost ran me off the road. So at least I will say the driverless car is not going to run me off the road. Will I get locked in the driverless Waymo and be unable to exit, as I've seen some TikToks? That's a possibility. That's almost more horrifying. Or even just like, I imagine these cars, we're going to have to see what happens with them in New York City, but I just imagine them getting stuck in these situations where the only option is to do like something you're not supposed to, and then it's not going to want to do it. So I'm not sure.
So we're doing this very random and out of order, but I guess that's the nature of lives. I had planned to jump into the prosecution's costs to try the Karen Reed case. But as long as we started out on this topic, I want to show our viewers the article that spurred this. This was a letter to the editor in the New York Post. No driver, no prob. Now they're taking your side. Waymo taxis are bound for New York City, and many citizens are concerned. And they refer to an article, Cabs and Automatic, in the August 26th edition of the paper. While some crave fresh air, I crave fresh silence and the serenity that comes with a peaceful drive. When no one's in the driver's seat, there's no possibility of small talk, no awkward pauses, this person isn't for Waymos, he's just antisocial.
Relatable, so real for that.
No awkward pauses, no prodding questions, and no eyes darting back and forth in the rearview mirror. I'm excited for newfound productivity. I can catch up on sleep, doodle passing cloud formations on an itemized receipt, or stick my head out of the window like a blissful dog, tongue and all. That was a letter in the New York Post, and I guess, but they're not talking about the fact of being in a driverless car without a driver. They're talking about, I just want peace and quiet. And I don't know. I think maybe that might be an issue for a lot of women. I mean, I don't like jumping in a taxi and the guy, I don't want to talk. I just want to, you know me. I don't want to
Yeah.
talk. I just want to. I kind of agree with this person. I usually have a magazine or a newspaper with me that I can grab. I mean, a lot of people will have their tablets and they just want, they don't want somebody telling them, how's your day? Where are you headed? It's none of their business where I'm headed.
No, I definitely feel that. I mean, I think everybody is related to not wanting to talk, to not really feeling like in the mood to talk. And then your taxi driver, your Uber driver has lifelong stories. And, bless this person. I have nothing against this person, and I don't think they really did anything wrong in this situation. But one time I got into an Uber, and it's like, oh, hello, like, how's it going? Yeah, good. How's it going? My wife is divorcing me. Like, oh, you know what? Fair. I'd feel pretty terrible too. I have to get that off my chest too, probably. But oh my God, the awkwardness of some of these drives.
I don't know. That could go either way. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just putting that out there.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, who wants to, I mean, driving in New York is bone numbing enough. I mean, like I said, in my adult life, I haven't spent much time in New York, but I've sure spent a lot of time in Boston, and the drivers there are crazy. And I have been reading the comments that have been scrolling by, and somebody, I think Donna Lembo said that she thinks Boston drivers are worse than New York. Boston drivers are pretty bad. They're pretty obnoxious. I mean, you turn on your turn signal and they hurry to block you. You're going to get off an exit and they hurry to beat you. You're going to a place where the road, loses a lane. It's 4 lanes going down to 3 or 3 lanes going down to 2. And there are signs. At the last minute, some moron tries to pass you on the lane that's diminished. Yeah. And that's Boston. That's, it's just, the drivers are awful. I don't like driving there. I can't stand it. The last time I went into the city not that long ago, and I drove to the Orange Line and grabbed the Orange Line in Malden and took the Orange Line into the city. Because there's one stop, Wellington, where the parking's free. You can actually drive down to the Route 16 exit and jump on that road, the Revilla Beach Parkway, and go over to the Wellington station. The parking is free. So Donna Lembo was in Boston in the mid to late 80s. Yeah, so was I. And she was nervous crossing the streets. But anyhow, as long as we're talking about the letters to the post, I had another one. Maybe I should have saved this for Alexis when she comes and joins us. But let me show you this other letter to the editor. Michael Aaron Gallagher from Syracuse wrote into the post and oops, oh man, you know me. I'm terrible
It wouldn't be
at
a
this.
stream without a little technical difficulties.
No, but that was my stupidity. Anyhow, he was saying, because I don't think I can dig it back up. I deleted it from my queue. But what he was saying was that he's glad that Lyle and Eric Menendez were not granted parole and that they will stay in jail. So I don't know. I wonder what our viewers think about that, because it was really a tease earlier in the year. It seemed that the then district attorney was queuing them up for, a parole hearing, and that the whole matter was going to be reconsidered, and they've been model prisoners and all that stuff. And so he was teeing them up to be paroled after, 30 years? And then they didn't get it. And so that was the other, it was just a brief little, no big loss. It was just a brief little. If you guys get talking later on, I'll dig back and find it. But I wonder what our viewers think. And I'll ask Alexis, too. What do they think about the fact that Lyle and Eric Menendez were not granted parole and they're going to stay behind bars for a long time?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I have no idea.
Yeah. I'm a hardball on crime. I would say leave them in. Jim, Alexis will be here at 5:30. that gives us a chance to just kind of do our thing and, get things set up and chat a little bit informally and, talk. I see we have some competition tonight, so the numbers are low, but that's all right. People have suggested in the past of cases that we should follow. I did not touch the Adelson case because it was just too complicated. And I didn't want to jump in the last minute and get into the depth of it. It was an interesting trial. Don Adelson was found guilty on all counts, every single one. So, I don't think that came as much of a surprise to a lot of people. And, interesting trial. Our friend Suitcase Sarah lost another attorney. I forget how many attorneys she had before the trial. Do you remember?
I don't know. I thought it was like 12 or something crazy, but I thought this last guy was going to be the one that stuck with her.
No, he was just the trial attorney. And then when she was convicted, in a pretty airtight case, in my opinion, now she's been through 3 and I think 4 appellate attorneys. It's pretty hard to chew through an appellate attorney. It's really pretty hard because, although I guess not, the appellate attorney really doesn't want to deal with you. The appellate attorney has to get the transcripts, and the appellate attorney has to read all the transcripts. And I've known guys that did this, and it's a certain kind of attorney that does this because they read through every line of the transcripts and, yes, the sidebars, and yes, the objections and what happens with the objections. And so they have to read all of this and at the same time, make a bullet point list of all of the potential legal issues and then research the legal issues for the up-to-date law and then write a brief. And so, oh my goodness, it's a lot of work.
I'm wondering what's going on though, that they're dropping her. Like, I don't even know what she could be them saying and asking for right now.
Oh, you don't want 14 phones. Yes, we attorneys are told to communicate with our clients. That is a basic ethical rule. Reasonable communication, giving proper updates on the status of a matter, being truthful and, communicative. But if you got a client that calls you 14 times a day, what about your other clients? What about the others? And it's a difficult position, but you get Sarah calling you all the time and making all kinds of demands. I mean, apparently she made all kinds of demands on her previous attorneys, and the one that tried the case, was just, it was crazy. It was amazing that he jumped in the last minute, and it was amazing that she kept him through the whole trial, but that's it. That's, so that was an issue.
I don't know. It sounds like it's going to keep being an issue. It sounds like she has a way with attorneys.
Yeah. I think that she just wanted to drive the truck. She just wanted to be in charge of it, and that's fine. It's the attorney's job to, advise the client and to some extent, represent the client in the manner the client wants. But if she's getting into all of the nitty gritty of everything involved in the trial, I don't know. I really just don't know. Let me send out our link to Alexis.
Yeah. And while you do that, I will read Moto Man MX's question to you. Being an attorney sounds like an aggravating, stressful job. How much time do they put in at work? Can they afford the time to have a life?
Oh, that depends on the attorney. It really does. A lot of attorneys that I have known in the past did have balanced lives. They made sure that they had time for their kids. They made sure that they had activities like coaching, or I knew one attorney who took violin lessons. I took guitar lessons to de-stress. But there are attorneys that work, 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week. And, if you have a big appellate case going on or if you have a major trial coming up, for a short period of time, that's fine. But those same attorneys tend to burn out. So it's really important. And the bar stresses this with us. That it's important to spend family time. It's important to plan vacations. It's important to have outside interests. So, it's a balancing act.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a balancing act.
Truth Seeker mentioned that they heard of an attorney recently that didn't show up to court, and the court date was extended 3 more weeks.
Crazy. You got to diary everything. You got to keep track of your time. It's you got to either keep track of your time or I'm just thinking of a funny story I don't think I should tell on our channel because it's a little bit off color, but it's just really very important to keep track of your time, whether you do it electronically, which I don't like, or you do it in a paper book, which I do like. It's really important to keep track of stuff like that. When the mail comes in every day, you've got to go through the mail. We're all bombarded now. We get stuff in the mail. We get stuff by email. We get stuff by links. Federal does it one way. The states do it another way. So we are bombarded. And it's, to our own peril that we don't pay attention to all of that.
Eric Alameda is asking if there's any updates on Chief Lafferty's trial, Justice for Officer John O'Keefe.
Not really following that right now. What I am following is Brian Walsh. I'm following Turtle Boy, Aiden Kearney. And the other one that has the same cast of characters in law enforcement down in Norfolk County is the Miles King case. And I am keeping my eye on those. If there's anything new on those, I will be updating people. There's a hearing next week. We will be following that. And, it's crazy that the same cast of characters, Michael Morrissey behind it all, Adam Lally, Michael Proctor. Oh, that's another one we're covering. Michael Proctor had 2 days of hearings last month, and now they're taking September. I mean, talk about justice moving really slowly. They're taking September off, and then Proctor will be back with 3 days of hearings that have been reserved starting September 21st. So we got a lot of comments on the Proctor episodes. We talked about it last week. We got a lot of comments, and most of them were he should not get his job back. People know that, if they're on the job, whether they're a police investigator or a teacher or a medical profession, and I forget what other professions were represented in our comments, people were saying, you don't talk about, private stuff. Think about a medical provider. Think about, I had some people that are in the nursing profession and some other people that are in the medical profession saying, better than to communicate stuff on your private phone. You don't talk about cases, and the same thing applies to a investigator at the state police level, because it's there's certain integrity that is attached to an investigation, and it wasn't followed. And a lot of people were put off, as well they should be, by the obscenity, and just there's no words for the revolting texts that Proctor made, but in a lot of our minds, legally, the real issue is he's talking about a pending case to his high school friends and his friends, and and his supervisors like Yuri Buchanan are sitting there doing nothing about it. So to a lot of people, that was just as bad, if not worse, than just the obscene. So the whole thing was obscene, and we're watching it. That one won't come to a boil until October, and then after they have Broken Baker. Hey, look who's joining us. Welcome. He was so mad he should be allowed, right? Yeah. Right, sure. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, you were mad, so you can say obscene things on your private phone. I mean, people need to realize that our phones are not private.
And it looks like Alexasrewm has just entered the stream. Hello, how are you today?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. Thank you so much for joining us. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Did you get new highlights or something in your hair? I'm digging it.
Very observant. Thank you. Yeah, I did my front bangs up.
Love it. Love it. I
Thank
used
you.
to rock the Storm from X-Men, the double highlight in the front. It was my signature before I decided to go half bald on this side of my head. So
The shaved head is cool, though. I love that.
appreciate it. Appreciate it.
So in our wind up to welcoming you as our guest, and thank you so much. We talked about a couple of things. We try to loosen it up a little bit in the lives. So my question for you, I don't know if you watched this. My question for you is, if you're in New York or any other city,
Yeah.
and you call for a cab, you need a ride. What do you do if a cab shows up that's driverless? What do you do? Do you want that? Do you not want that? Do you get in it? Do you not get in it?
I'm definitely not getting in it because I am the kind of person who needs to be in control, and I'm already a crappy driver as it is. I am not a good driver. I drive like a grandma. I'm overly cautious and anxious. But yeah, I can't do the driverless. Even my sister-in-law has a Tesla, and when she puts on the self-drive mode, it like freaks me out. I'm like, no, I'm like, I just can't trust technology like that.
Oh, that's funny. Andrew had a similar opinion. I'm like horrified of the people driving in the first place. It's like,
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
it's like if you
too.
get into a New York City, like the options between a New York City taxi cab driver and then no driver, it's just like, I don't know, like the risk for me is like pretty high for both.
No, that's true. And I'm like, just leg it at that point. Use the good old fashioned footmobile.
Literally.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I don't like artificial intelligence. I don't like computers. I asked our audience, has anybody that's watching our podcast right now ever had a computer that didn't crash? So what do you do if you're going through, 54th Street, you're going through Times Square, you're right in the middle of Times Square, and the computer crashes? Now what? What do you do? So like, I hate all that stuff. There have been attorneys, this is a legal podcast, there have been attorneys in cases that I've followed in New York and Boston that have submitted artificial intelligence generated briefs that had cases that were just made up. The AI actually, what they call technically, hallucinated and made up cases, and these attorneys didn't check the sites, submitted them. They were phony, and they were. There was one in New York and one in Boston that were each. They were only fined $100, but still.
Really?
That's not that bad.
Yeah, that I was gonna say that's not enough to shut that down because I know you said you haven't really been following the Donna Adelson case, but Wendy, her daughter's attorney for the divorce, testified, and she made this comment about, oh, now I get clients who are always submitting these ideas of what I should do in building their case for them using ChatGPT prompts. So I'm curious, do you guys get that at all? Do you get clients coming out and saying like, hey, ChatGPT told me to do this thing or this case law?
Thank God, not yet. Not yet. Have you? You have?
Now, I mean, I've used I use ChatGPT regularly in my daytime job. Yeah, I do. Mainly to generate ideas. And then once you learn how to prompt it the right way, over time it learns your tone and voice, which is kind of creepy, but it's useful.
Yeah. I saw a new thing on one of the channels. There's a new AI that I think it's Google provides that will do your thumbnails, and we all know thumbnails are important. You can have whatever content you have, but your thumbnail is really important. And there was Nick Nimmons, that's a guy. You know the guy I'm talking about? Nick Nimmons at vidIQ.
Oh yeah.
He demonstrated it. And he said, I want a person sitting in a coffee shop with a laptop and with a coffee cup in front of them and the coffee shop. And he just talked like I'm talking now. And, the thumbnail came up. And then he said, look, I can change it. I don't want the coffee cup there. So the coffee cup goes away. I want the laptop to be a different brand. Boom.
Right.
And it's like, oh, my God.
Technology.
I'm thinking maybe I'll try it.
Like I said, it can be useful. I know in the marketing world, a lot of people are definitely infusing more and more AI, but that's a whole other discussion for a whole other day.
No, I think it's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you could get sanctioned for having a brief that has phony sites, what that means is either you shouldn't be doing it or, okay, you get your brief. You get your brief and you have to site check everything. And that's going to take so much time. You might as well just write it yourself.
Yeah.
You might as well just write it yourself. So I don't know.
Yeah,
and
100%.
Then the other thing that we read out of the New York Post, the pinnacle of journalism, of course, there was a letter from somebody commenting on Lyle and Eric Menendez did not get parole. I was wondering what you thought about that one.
You know, I can't really speak too much on it just because I haven't followed the ins and outs completely. I know a lot of people have strong opinions about it. Yeah. I don't condone, obviously, what they did. Do I believe that they could have suffered years and years and years of abuse at the hands of their parents? Absolutely, but that doesn't necessarily excuse a crime that they committed. Right. But at the same time, do I feel like they are a personal threat to society if they are to be released? I don't know. I feel like there are other dangerous criminals out there, namely predators, in my opinion, that are being let out left and right all the time, repeat offenders. And for me, I'd rather they stay locked up. And if you have to make room in the prison system, then I'd feel maybe more comfortable releasing somebody who's, served their time. And I don't know, though. I don't know. What do you guys think?
No, I think you did. You did a good analysis. I think you did a great analysis. I don't know. I kind of tend to be kind of hard on crime, and I kind of tend to think, based on the facts of the case, and they were sentenced to life. So life doesn't mean life anymore, that they can be paroled. So I kind of agree with. Look at Jim Tussing here. He's a smart aleck. Andrew, I'd like to sell you a blockbuster franchise. Yeah, okay. Now, I really admire you, Alexis, because you tackled the Adelson case, which, it was too complicated. It's got a history of 11 years or more, and there's a guy in my office who knows everything about that case. And he would come into my office, you've got to do this case. And he would talk about, he knows the whole history, everything down to, but he's a non-attorney. And I couldn't get him. To get on the podcast. Lainey, you know Charlie. We're not going to out him.
As we out him.
So I admire the fact that you took that on and did some episodes on it. What did you agree pretty much with the final result?
Oh yeah. I've been following that case pretty loosely over the last couple of years. That was kind of my first foray into my interest in covering true crime, and I was actually going to start covering that when I started my channel last year, and Karen Reed kind of pulled me in, and that was kind of the main focus for a lot of my content for the last year. But it's just so interesting to me that there are some people, it's just fascinating how people's brains work and how you can see a lot of similarities in terms of, I come from a background of having parents who are very religious, don't necessarily agree with a lot of the life choices I've made, and partners as well.
It's too bad.
But it is what it is, and we thankfully moved past a lot of that. But it's interesting because I could never picture my own mother going to the lengths that Donna Adelson went to get what she wanted. And it just is so wild to me that there are people out there who exist that are willing to, and I guess they've just grown up never being told no, never, always just getting what they wanted. And just the shock on her face when the guilty verdict, guilty hit, it was just, it felt good. That's what justice should feel like. The people who go their entire lives and feel like they're always going to get away, they're always going to have the upper hand, and nope, the law applies to everybody.
Yeah, I wasn't really following it as closely as you did. I'm still trying to maintain some guise of having a practice that's somewhat busy. So I watched little bits of it. Didn't it seem like the trial was going in that direction? Not that you can ever tell completely because juries are unpredictable, but didn't it just seem that it was going that way anyhow during the trial?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I don't also think that Donna had the strongest defense, and I know
No.
I poked fun at her attorneys, and as many other people have too, but I also think too the case for her just stunk. She wrote
Yeah.
a script for informants and for her prison pals, and she was handing them out and saying, hey, if you memorize this, I'll give you teeth in exchange for you to testify to this thing that I've scripted out for you. And I think that's what just the bizarre and absurdity of all of it is just that's what interests me is stuff like that. So
Yeah, so Lainey, maybe we missed the boat by not covering that one because that was an intriguing trial. The thing that makes it intriguing for viewers is, either you don't know the final result or there are serious questions, as in the Kohberger case, or it's just, there are a lot of twists and turns and details and people running out of the country and things like that. So I think maybe we missed the boat by not covering that. But I kind of thought of doing the closing arguments, but, I didn't think it was fair to anyone for me to jump in and do that when we didn't do anything else. But
I don't think so necessarily. I think everybody's got a different way of giving their own spin on things too, and I enjoy your guys' commentary. But
thank
also,
you.
Yeah, also you got Wendy Adelson too. She might be the next one to get arrested, so you never know. You might be able to start on that one.
Yeah, if I could talk this guy in my office into it, he's really into the case and he really knows it. Now, to shift gears a little bit, I read a little bit over the weekend about the case in Kentucky where the sheriff shot the judge. Yeah. And I don't know, are you following that one?
Very, very loosely, which is funny because it's a couple of hours away from where I am. So I am thinking, That's thinking crazy. When it does end up going to trial, I might make the drive up there. I think, up north from where I am, and sit on it because I think it would be really fascinating.
I don't know if they're going to live stream the trial or not. I hope so because I started reading a little bit about it and I got really intrigued. There's some documents that I think I'm going to jump in and do, if not a short, an episode on that case because it's just so intriguing. I mean, in law school, in evidence class, we learn so much about evidence. We learn so much about evidence law and what it takes to fill those buckets for each element of each cause of action to get a conviction. And one of the premises is, well, in an M case, you're never going to get somebody to actually commit an M on camera, so you've got to put together all the evidence. Well, in this case, it was committed on camera, right on camera. And it was just amazing. So the only possible defense is the insanity defense, which, jurors have not always been very susceptible to the insanity defense. But I'm saying to myself, if I'm a lawyer, what the hell else is there? Because, he did it right on camera. He had to have known. So in a sense, I'm thinking, how would he be able to know the distinction between the character of his actions, whether they were right or wrong? Because if he does it right on a camera, and he had to have known there was a camera in the judge's chambers. He had to have known that there was a camera in the chambers. So I don't know. That kind of inures to it. And the fact that there was a deposition that he sat out in a few days before the M, in which there were allegations that one of his deputies was committing S.A. in the judge's chambers, and that Mickey Steins was being brought into it.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's an intriguing case, even though, the thing that makes a case intriguing is, not knowing all the details, or it's as convoluted as the Adelson case. This case is pretty obvious. He can't say he didn't do it.
Right, right. And I think that makes it equally as fascinating, too. I think what it's really going to boil down to is what's actually allowed into evidence and what isn't. If a lot of this stuff about these allegations of there being this underground, SA ring with a lot of these former inmates or people who were, being essentially dangled and being told, oh, we might call CPS on you. I think that'll bring an interesting element. And it might make him look a lot more sympathetic, I think, to jurors, too, especially if you've experienced or know somebody who's experienced, similar things in the past as well. So I'm definitely curious to see more and more unfold with that. Do you know when the next court date for that is?
I read it this weekend, but I don't know. I think there's a motion that's pending right now, and we're waiting for the judge to rule on it. But no, you stumped me. No fear. Now
I'm learning like you. Yeah.
You've waded into a lot of cases, and I think you do a great job.
Oh,
I think you did. I think you kind of left the Kohberger case alone, didn't you?
I did. I covered what I was actually all set and ready to cover it after our last conversation. Because you guys got me kind of hooked on it, and then he came in and he pleaded guilty, and I just felt like at that point I didn't have it because I was so late coming into the conversation. I didn't have anything really, I guess, unique to add to it, as opposed to people like you guys who have been covering it, from the early days. So sometimes, you get in your own head and you're like, oh, do I have something to add to this conversation? So
well, that kind of goes back to what you said about Andrew and how his feeling towards Donna's trial. Where sometimes you just got to do it. Sometimes you just got to go for it. But still, I understand where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, but how are you guys, since all of that unfolded? Because this was right before he pled guilty, and we had this conversation going over his last hearing before that.
Well, Andrew has some feelings.
we go over the documents, and I get in trouble for going down this rabbit hole, but I know he pled guilty. I know he filled out all the forms. I know the judge accepted the plea, but I would give it a good leaving alone, except for the fact that I have looked at a lot of the police reports, and I've looked at a lot of the Idaho State Police reports and the Moscow State Police reports and the body cam video. And I was of the opinion that all of this documentation was going to answer questions, and it doesn't. It raises questions. Who was where, who was going up the stairs. This whole, I don't want to even get into it, but it's just
fair enough.
The people that have kept this stuff quiet for all this time, I think have egg on their face, and now it's not going to go away, because now the court itself is engaged in this laborious, lengthy, drawn-out process of going through the documents backwards, starting with the most recent. And the judge says, okay, look at this batch of documents, and then both sides can comment, and then only after they agree on redactions and sealing and all that business. So my point is, this is going to go on for a long time, and I'm going to watch it. If the other attorneys walk away, that's fine. More viewers for me. So anyhow, the reason we purportedly, even though I like to lighten it down a little bit, and I think Lainey wants to lighten it down too, don't you?
I mean, I have mixed feelings about the situation. I agree with some of your questions about it. And it's how is this possible that everything was done so quickly? But at the same time, I think that I'm of a similar mind to a lot of people, where it's just he already pled guilty, so it's almost like we, ideally that is where the story ends. If our justice system is working correctly, is the way that I feel.
What I really meant was that we started out talking about some light topics, but what I really wanted to get into with Alexis, because you've been really deep into the Karen Reed case, right?
Yep.
So
for the last year.
And you've looked at some of the expenses that have come out in the last week. So I wanted to jump to that. Lainey, you can laugh at me all you want as I try to bring the screen up and bring up these documents. But one thing that I found kind of interesting, I mean, they released all the itemizations. And, of course, Number 1 was Aperture.
Yeah.
Number 2 was Hank. And what am I doing wrong here?
Is this? I'm
Trying to
not
bring-
sure if you're broadcasting what you wanted to. I added the document that was up, but I think what you're looking at might not be there.
There we go. Did that bring it up?
Mm-mm.
No.
You might have to share it through StreamYard.
I'm looking at a contract that we have with Asher Research. There we go. Is that it?
Yeah, you got it.
And I don't know if you've looked at this before, Alexis, but this is a contract with a New York firm. I don't know why they had to go to New York. I don't know. I'll reserve my thoughts. But this is a contract with Asher Research out of New York. And they were contracted for legal support services with the Norfolk District Attorney's Office regarding the Commonwealth versus Karen Reed at an hourly rate of $200 to $400, which I thought actually was kind of low for a New York firm.
Yeah.
But then we go on, and here we go. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the Norfolk District Attorney's Office, the client, hereby engages Asher Research, LLC, its employees, and its contractors, collectively Asher Research, to provide investigative services for the purpose of representing the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The client authorizes Asher Research to retain persons and entities who shall work under the direction and control of Asher Research. Then it goes into some pretty boilerplate language. The agreement is effective as of May 27th of 2025. So in context, this is in the middle of the trial. The trial started, in late April?
Yep.
Mid to late April. So the trial is going on. The Commonwealth is getting close to the end of their case, and that's when they retain Asher Research. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that's when the dent went off in my mind. Lainey, we don't have that sound effect. Not at all.
Dun, dun, dun.
And the current contract end date prior to the First Amendment, 6/30/25, $12,500 to start. Okay, all right. So we don't have to go into all this. See all the paperwork. If you do business with any state, but especially the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, this is all the paperwork that you have to go through. Here's the good stuff. This is what they billed for on May 28th. B. Asher spent 7.7 hours and billed $3,080 reviewing background information on RG and MD. RG being Richard Green, who was the one of the defense witnesses in the first trial, but never testified in the second trial. And MD is Matthew DeSogra. So they conducted research on both in open sources, including court indices, proprietary databases, social media, professional listening databases, and other records. I don't know, Alexa. Part of me says, I guess this is fairly standard these days, but on the other hand, I thought it's kind of creepy. What do you think?
Oh, I totally think it's a little creepy in the sense, especially the social media, because they did the same thing with the sitting jurors as well too.
Yes.
They hired a whole firm to investigate, and I think also a PI too, which is just absolutely crazy because if you look at the expenses for this trial compared to the first trial, the difference is astronomical. So I think a lot of these calls were made probably by Hank Brennan, and maybe Morrissey. I don't know. I'm just speculating here, but it seems like a lot of these decisions and overspending came probably from Hank and his pool of, whoever's in his network available. But I think a lot of this specific to Asher, I think this was probably related to them gearing up for their rebuttal case, expecting, the defense to call Richard Green because I mean, I think he did a good job in the first trial, but
I do
you know,
too,
as we saw, he wasn't really necessary for the second trial. So I think it was a good call in the long run. But I mean, Matt DeSogra, like, it's just crazy. And what do you do for 7.7 hours? Exactly.
I don't know. Yeah, you say that they were doing this to prepare for the rebuttal case. I think in addition to, you're right, but I think in addition to that, they were getting prepared to cross-examine these people. Like, for example, let's go down to this one here, the one that's kind of in the bottom of your screen, and go to the bottom. Reviewed expert testimony prepared by E.L., and of course E.L. is Elizabeth La Posada, the former medical examiner in Rhode Island, and they actually did use this material in cross-examining her on the stand, going down towards the bottom. Reviewed expert testimony prepared by La Posada, conducted database research on Elizabeth La Posada, identified her email addresses and telephone numbers for work in social media research. Lainey, isn't that kind of creepy? How do they get all that stuff?
The thing is like, if you have someone's email, you're able to get like pretty much anything about them. It comes off as desperately trying to find something, but at the same time, it's like, in this day and age, I don't want to say it's standard, because I don't like looking through people's stuff. I feel like that's a violation, but if you're in this business, that's like, I don't know. I feel like it's anything you put online on a public profile is technically fair game, but it's still, it gives the ick.
Definitely. And so I feel like the social media stuff too. I mean, why couldn't you get an unpaid intern to do it instead of having them, go out for donuts and coffee every morning on their way in? They can also pull up Instagram or LinkedIn and do their own, maybe save taxpayers a couple of dollars here and there.
I had the same thought, Alexis, when I saw this. I had the same thought. It's like, I have interns, and they're usually 20-somethings, and they know a lot more about social media than I do, and they can find this stuff fairly quickly, I would think. Why are they paying, how much was the first block? I wanted to look at those, but how much was this first block for 7 hours? $3,000. I think an intern working either free or for not that much money for the experience could have done the same thing. I agree with you.
Totally.
Look at this, $23.40 for C. Stork. Only got $23.40 for a 7.8-hour day, searching internet for records naming Elizabeth La Posada, reviewing and analyzing allegations of alleged malfeasance during her time. And we have to say alleged, because I'm sure you remember that as well as I do, that, it was a political thing. She got involved in some political stuff. And so they reviewed the Providence Journal archives for media reports concerning her professional history. That, I'm sure, is really objective. Identified and cataloged, I should say, such reports, summarized findings to date, emails regarding research into MR and EL, EL being Elizabeth La Posada and MR being Marie Russell. So now they're digging into Marie Russell. Conducted research in open sources, including court records, social media, news articles, and professional licensing databases, conferences with investigative staff. It goes on and on. It goes on and on.
Which is so funny, too, because she testified, Dr. Marie Russell, in the first trial.
Right.
And again, it's like you already know what you're going up against, and it just goes to show how much more money they're willing to invest in digging into certain experts versus other experts and who they felt were the biggest threat. And they ended up walking into a lot of poking holes into their own theory too during her cross-examination, which was pretty great.
And I think the initial paper said $7,500. Bada bing, bada boom. Here's the final bill, $20,000. $20,000 to snoop around and figure out what these people are doing in their social media presences. And in Dr. La Posada's case, reading the Providence Journal. I think, I can dig back in newspaper archives, Jeez.
Yeah, the Wayback Machine or whatever it is.
The Wayback Machine. So I think that's about enough. I think we've both covered this stuff enough, but it's just, it's pretty shocking that that's, the extent to which they went, $1.5 million almost. and they lost. But you know what? What surprises me is that I don't really hear a lot of outrage of taxpayers. I really don't. I hear a lot of podcasters talk about it. A lot of podcasters are on this. And for a day or maybe 2 days last week, the newspapers in not just Massachusetts, but all of New England, published it, but they drop it. The next day they go on to the next thing.
Yeah,
So,
that's the mainstream media for you.
I was going to say no one's like anybody who does hear about this. It's like that you get upset for like a second, but then a lot of people in their day-to-day lives are not podcasting about it. They have the thought, they're pissed off, and then they just begrudgingly go back to their work and kind of forget about it within the next 8 hours or how many TikToks you scroll.
Right. I mean, there is a lot of. Sorry to cut you off.
No, it's all right. Go ahead.
I was going to say there is a lot of conversation. I think it's how you, like who you follow too and how your algorithm works. I know like my Twitter is full of, Twitter X as I call it, a lot of people who were deep into the Karen Reed case as well as the Turtle Boy cases. So there are a lot of people who are in tune with that. There are, it seems like, new candidates for Norfolk County DA.
Yes.
The rumor going around is that Meatball is not going to be running again, so we'll see how that plays out. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about that, but I agree, generally speaking, at least with the mainstream media, that obviously these cases, just a lot of the fallout in the aftermath of what exactly happened with the retrial, it's not as loud in the mainstream media as it should be, because there is so many other ties going on with a lot of these overlapping cases, with the Proctor stuff, Miles King case and the Brian Walsh case that's coming up as well, and that's all important too, and it definitely needs to be talked about a lot louder in these studio networks that have the pull, have the resources, can get in contact with X, Y, and Z person and can do the due diligence. But it's up to people like us to hop on our laptops and our computers and yell into the abyss and see if somebody will scream about it with us. So,
and the last three cases you mentioned, in addition to the Aiden Carney case, they're getting a good leaving alone by the mainstream media.
Yep. Oh yeah, they're afraid. They're afraid to touch that.
Yeah, they're not. They were wrong on the Karen Reed case. In the very beginning, they were all gung ho. She's guilty. She's guilty. She's guilty. Look at this. Look at that. And they kind of have egg on their face now. And so I think they want to leave those three cases alone because they're not really. They don't want to get burned a second time. And I don't want to paint totally with a broad brush on the mainstream media. There are some good people that are working in it. You yourself like to quote Ted Daniel.
Yeah.
And I think he does a really good job. He's done some excellent interviews. He's done some good pieces. I actually know one of his colleagues at that station who also does a really good job. So I hate to paint with the broad brush, but overall, I think that even the two newspapers in Boston have just, given a tiny little bit of coverage. And that's one of the reasons why media experts say that in X number of years, 10 years or 20 years, everybody will be getting all of their information on social media, whether that's a good or bad thing. I think it's a fact. I
agree. I agree. Just like how AI is taking over to round out that conversation. Yeah. I agree. And this is why you're seeing even a lot of people on these bigger news channels, like take Court TV, who are starting their own YouTube channels, right? They're still doing their Court TV stuff, or they're still doing Law and Crime or what have you, but they're starting their own. We have Vinny Politan, who has his own YouTube channel. And I feel like that's going to be... That's going to be probably the trend for the next 5 to 10 years for that exact reason, is people are just tired of getting this lukewarm, microwavable, leftover, whatever, news story, instead of people who are doing the real boots on the ground work and digging in. And, this is not to say I'm not a journalist by any stretch of the imagination. I think
you are. I think you do a great job. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I'm more of I see stuff online that outrages me, and I talk about it, and a lot of it has to do with the stuff that other people are doing who are digging in, and I think there are a lot of people in the public who who don't actually understand, like, you can access this information. You just have to request it. You just have to ask for the information. And, you know, you might not always get a quick response, you know, but then that's something to talk about. Let's talk about, you know, well, why aren't I requested this thing 6+ months ago or 9+ months ago, and I still haven't gotten the thing that I requested. So I think this is creating a space for a whole new evolution, or a whole new era of commentators and personalities, and it's exciting to see for sure. But definitely don't consider myself a journalist. I don't do any investigating. I just talk stuff.
Your niche. I was going to try and get you to say it when you came on. Your niche is, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not I'm not a medical person. I'm just a person with an opinion, and that's fine. Now, I'm watching all this stuff on vidIQ and on YouTube itself. You know, they give you all these ideas and stuff like that, and they say that an unprecedented number of new creators are coming around, and so what's going to happen is over time, only certain ones will survive. We've seen some fall by the wayside only in the 2 years that I've been doing this and with Lainey. And over time, the marketplace is going to control. If you get a lot of subscribers, if you get a lot of viewer time, if you're found to be relevant, you're going to survive. If you don't, you know, a lot of people are just going to quit. So it's going to be like, you know, the actual real world where, you know, I'm trying to draw an analogy, but I mean, many years ago, all the big cities had multiple newspapers. When I moved to Boston, I think there were 4 or 5 daily newspapers. Now they all ate each other up, and now it's down to 2. And I think one of them they've both sold their buildings. They've both sold their iconic buildings, and they're cramped into little offices. So what happened in mainstream media is going to happen on social media, and the better ones are going to survive. You mentioned Vinny. I don't know what to think about Vinny. I like Vinny. Sometimes I don't like Vinny, but I do watch his own YouTube because he's a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah,
he's a little bit more relaxed, and he's more honest.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I mean, I can only imagine, you know, having the pressure of being part of a large network, and there are people's jobs on the lines, but when it's just you in front of your own camera, you know, essentially, I assume his own channel is based on his own investment. I'm assuming it's not connected to Court TV, or he's not compensated for any of that. So I think when you have the pressure of being on a studio production, there's a different level of, I got to appease both sides. But, you know, that's the thing, is some of the most successful commentators, podcasters, news personalities were people who chose an opinion, right? People don't want the neutral, lukewarm, microwavable leftovers. They want, you know, somebody with juice, somebody with fire who's willing to call out and express her opinion. So I agree. I like his stuff on his own channel a little bit better than the stuff on Court TV. But, you know, it's useful. It's informational.
But you've got to figure that he does that with some kind of support from Court TV. I mean, he can't go out on a limb, and he can't criticize his own network, I wouldn't think. I mean, I'm not saying that they approve his copy beforehand, but I mean, because a lot of times people don't know their copy before they say. But I've got to think that he's got their approval, even if he does it in his own. And I think, you know, that in a way, he's bringing in new business to Court TV, because people that never watched Court TV before see that he's a laid-back kind of a guy, even though he's a former prosecutor and an attorney and all that stuff. And they see that, hey, he's not a bad guy. Let's go over and watch his special tonight. As opposed to stuff like last week, I didn't even watch it, but I heard some bad reviews there was a new Kohberger episode on 2020, and I heard it was horrible. I heard it was really bad, so I didn't even watch it.
I tend to tune out of those unless people are like, hey, did you tune into that? And I'm like, all right, I guess I'll watch this and share my thoughts. But yeah, I mean, you're not going to get the hard-hitting questions that you want asked. It is what it is. You're not going to get the pushback that you want to see, you would like to see. But again, that's why I would love to see just more boots on the grounds, you know, a spike in journalism, a new era of people who are willing to do the hard work and do the due diligence and ask the hard-hitting questions that need
Well,
to
that
be
stuff's
asked.
hard. I mean, that stuff is hard. I mean, look at
totally
Aiden
is.
Kearney. He was doing that, and a lot of people questioned his motives, but he's the guy that really brought the Karen Reed case to the forefront, and they threw him in jail.
Yep.
They arrested him, and they threw him in jail. And look at Mike Crawford. I don't know if you follow Mike. The first live that we did on our Tuesday Night Live episodes, Mike was our guest. And he's a guy that has a history. He's a guy that's really bright. He's a guy that really, he goes deep into a lot of issues. And I'm not going to mention them. I'll stick with the topic tonight. And they threw they gave him a hard time when he was trying to cover a hearing in Massachusetts. And so it's not easy. It's just, it's not easy to do the boots on the ground kind of thing that you're talking about. It takes time. It takes effort. You're going to get people grinding against you. You're going to get people that don't like you. Mike has been sued for defamation in a case that's totally, in my opinion, wrong, and he's been sued. It's something that has nothing to do with the Karen Reed or the cases we're talking about. But I'm going to once again ask people to go down in the detail section where I will put another link. Go over and support Mike, because he's doing the boots on the ground kind of thing that you're talking about, and he's facing all kinds of resistance. So it's not easy. It's not easy.
No, it's not. And Mike is so great too. Like, I've spoken to him very, very, very briefly over DMs before, and he's just always been incredibly kind.
Yeah.
And I really love just how he's kind of like the local guy for Massachusetts stuff. In that specific area, and I love how he just streams as much as possible too. That's the kind of level of access that people just want. People just want to know what's going on in their community, right? And I think, again, this is a new era of the public being and wanting to be more involved in local politics and local government, which I know he's been a pretty loud voice in for a long time, so...
Yeah, I agree. Great guy. Great channel that he has. I like to lighten things up a little bit on these episodes. I like to lighten these things up on these episodes to change gears. What do you think about this Phillies Karen? The lady that took the ball away from the father who'd grabbed it and given it to his son for his birthday.
I know, and then she flipped off the mega cam, right? The kiss cam and everything.
I mean, it's just, what a story. And I get things are turning around. I want to play a video. I want to play this, and we can watch this and talk about it when we get done.
When I picked it up, turned around, and felt like Super Dad, walked back to Lincoln.
As usual, Lainey knows me. I'm a little bit awkward at this stuff, so we'll go back to the beginning, and here we go. This is 7 ABC.
Dating a father after he gave his son a ball that landed in the stands. Well, now that father and son are telling all. ABC's Janae Norman has that story.
The woman spotted out on the left, going to put the fight-ins in fighting.
It's the grab now seen around the globe. Phillies fans scrambling after Harrison Bader sent a home run ball flying into the stands during Friday's game against the Marlins. One man emerged.
So I don't really get it. I mean, I guess they say the ball was going towards her and he lunged and grabbed it. It's hard to see. Is that the way you read it?
Yeah, I read it. I mean, those things are always crazy, too. I grew up a Yankees fan. I don't know how much trouble that'll get me in.
I'm a Red Sox fan. We're done.
But I remember, my family and I were usually in the grandstands over there in the outfield. So people get crazy. I mean, it's really hard to, tell who's in the right, who's in the wrong. But I mean, at the end of the day, if a father's giving it to a kid, like, you don't take a baseball out of a kid's hand. Like, it's really not that serious. I get it. You could probably get another baseball signed on eBay for, X amount of dollars. But I just feel like people get unnecessarily aggressive for no reason.
They sure do. Let's watch it. This particular story has a nice ending, but I don't want to blow it for people.
Victorious, gifting the ball to his son who was celebrating a birthday. But watch as a woman storms over to them.
His dad gets the ball for his kid. Nice family moment. What? Until she decided to ruin it.
Apparently, there were a lot of un-YouTube-like words that were expressed during that exchange by her, not by him.
She said, I saw it first. The ball wasn't even in her row.
That father and son, Andrew and Lincoln Feltwell, now speaking out about the catch and confrontation on GMA.
Heard the crack of the bat, watched the ball go up in the air, and I knew it was going to the right, but I didn't know where. So I just started going to the right a little bit, hit a chair and bobbled between the armrests, and I picked it up, turned around, and felt like Super Dad, walked back to Lincoln, put it in his glove, and gave him a hug.
It was exciting getting our first home run ball ever from all our games.
Andrew and Lincoln say they had no idea.
I just want to say that I've been to concerts before where it's like the band throws stuff into the audience.
Yeah.
I've like caught the guitar pick and just had it smacked out of my hand and go flying. It's just like you just accept it goes where it goes. I mean, this is a little bit of a different situation because they had space to run to each other. But oh my gosh.
It's the unspoken rule. It's like the ball belongs to nobody. It's whoever grabs it at the end and triumphantly walks off.
The name of our podcast is About the Law. So I figured if we really got into it, I better know something about this. And baseball has rules for everything. And I thought they'd have a rule for this, but I didn't see one. If our commenters know of a rule, please cite it. Don't just say there's a rule, cite it. Because I investigated and I looked into it, and apparently until the 1920s, 100 years ago, there was nothing at all. And then there actually are some cases that I didn't want to delve too deeply into it, but there have actually been some cases where, in one case, a guy hit his 200th home run and the ball was grabbed by somebody and they took it, and there was actually a lawsuit. And so
Really?
the arguments were that, well, the home team has to provide the ball. That's what it is. The home team has to provide the balls that are put into play, and they have to be up to league specifications. So the home team and the league own the ball, but then it goes flying in the air. The question is that an abandonment? Is that legally an abandonment? Because there are three ways you can lose ownership of property. You can sell it, you can give it, or you can abandon it. So the courts actually got into this analysis, and I'm thinking to myself, oy vey, if a ball ever comes my way, I'll just let some kid have it.
Oh, me too. I'm getting out of Dodge. I don't want to get hit in the face with that thing.
No.
Yeah,
No.
projectiles, weapons. It's like, is the ball going to hit you? Or are these random people in the crowd going to hit you, apparently?
Somebody's throwing Yeah, it's just too much drama. I'm not into conflict. So it's like, all right, you guys can, I saw the ball. That's cool enough.
Yeah, so I mean, these cases that I'm talking about, generally speaking, they're settled. So there's no real law.
Yeah.
I mean, God forbid a case like this ever goes up to the Supreme Court. I mean, good grief. What would 9 justices do with this? But generally, like in the one case where the guy hit his 200th home run, a kid caught the ball and he wanted to keep the ball, and the team said, no, we want it back. And so it went back and forth before they settled it. And the team gave him something, I forget what. And the guy who hit the 200th home run got to keep it. So it's like, but these things are always pretty much resolved. So there's no real law. So there she is. We see her from the back. Now she's having an exchange with the guy.
Idea what was about to happen next in this now viral moment caught on camera.
You know who I thought this was when I first saw it? After the whole thing, and I thought it was Elizabeth Warren.
She does resemble
when she
her.
screamed in my ear, that's when everybody saw how shocked I was. And, when I turned, I had to lean back because she was really close. She had many, many inappropriate words to say around my kids. And all I could think was, make her go away.
The Pops does the right move. He says, I don't got time for this. I'm trying to have a nice night with my family.
Yeah, I'm good.
Gives the woman the ball.
As for that young Phillies fan, both teams chipping in to create a happy ending.
A good deed does go noticed.
The Marlins gifting him a bag full of goodies, and after the game, Harrison Bader himself sending Lincoln home with a signed baseball bat.
That's nice.
So they gave the kid a baseball bat, and the guy who hit the ball, came over and talked to him. So,
That's
cool.
cool.
All right.
Yeah.
It was
Happy
really,
ending.
really exciting. I would have still liked that home run ball to put in my room, but everything else, it's all just as good in the end.
Janae Norman, ABC News, New York.
Thank you, ABC News, for letting us use that. Oh, no, what did I do with Alexis? Sorry about that.
Oh, good.
I always do that, so don't take it personally. So I don't know. So I guess the story goes on and on and on, and people were so nasty. They misidentified her as a teacher in New Jersey, and then the New Jersey school said, no, nobody here. First of all, if it was one of our teachers, they would have caught the ball. But second of all, it was nobody here. So they misidentified her, and the father came out and said, look, stop giving her grief. It's not worth it. It's a ball game. It's like, so I don't know.
Yeah, we're over it. I'm surprised too, because she put her hand on the father, it looked like, at some point too. But
it does.
I don't know in terms of legalities if he was feeling a little extra frosty and he wanted to take that, like, would he be able to do anything about that? Because I mean, she did.
Well, technically, yeah. The definition of a battery is an unprivileged, unconsented to touching. So the law school case of that is if I walk over to you and touch you, that's a classic battery. But
right.
Is it, and an assault, just for those who are wondering, an assault is putting one in apprehension of an imminent battery. So sure, on paper, by the elements, sure. But reading into the case just a little bit, the father said that in his mind he had to think really fast because on the one hand, he wanted to do something that he knew he would regret later. And on the other hand, he just wanted to, show his son that he knew how to diffuse a situation or de-escalate a situation. So he just said, "Okay, fine. Here's the ball." Like was just stated in that report from ABC7.
Right.
I just want to have a pleasant night. He had his son and his daughter too. His daughter looks like I don't know, she's in her early teens.
Yeah,
so,
young too.
I mean. People are so stressed out these days. People get so stressed out about people are shooting each other on the freeway. It's not a laughing matter, but it happens. And to get into a fight in a baseball game, oh my God.
Like I said, nothing's that serious, but it's crazy because my wife drives the public school system here in Nashville, and a lot of times, like, just the preparation with all the things going on in schools now too. It's just crazy. And she had these kids on her bus last week or 2 weeks ago, and they were flipping off the driver behind her. And she's like, look, one, you can't do that because that's not a nice thing. But two, you don't know what could happen because people are crazy. People might, pull you over or like cut you off. And then all of a sudden they're coming out of their car and they're ready, all puffy chest and ready to attack and do something crazy. So you really don't know nowadays. And I think ultimately that was probably the best thing that dad could do is just, hey, take the ball. It's not a big deal.
De-escalate it. It's like, it's a big deal for the kid. But I mean, it's just people are crazy. People are so stressed out. People are really nerved out these days. And the stuff that you read about happening is just crazy. Not that long ago, a few years ago, I went down to Fenway Park, and it was a Yankees Red Sox game. And I went with a friend, and it was a Yankees Red Sox game. And the Yankees fans were in the row behind me. The Red Sox fans were in the row in front of me. I got soaked with beer. They're throwing beer at each other. And it's like, oh, come on, guys. Come on, drink your beer. Have a good time. I think that problem is they probably already drank enough. So I walked out of the park with my T-shirt soaked with beer that the Yankees and Red Sox fans intended for each other, but I'm in the middle. I mean,
some pretty valuable beer, some stadium beer.
Right, it's expensive beer to waste. That's what we call alcohol abuse in my house.
Ring up the shirt and resell it for half off.
I don't even know what a beer costs at Fenway this year. $14.
Probably like 20. Yeah, it's got to be like $20 or something like that. Yeah,
it's been a few years since I went down there, but yeah, Yankees fans are crazy.
I won't doubt that. I won't doubt that.
Now, why are you a Yankees fan if you're down south?
Well, so born and raised Long Island.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, born and raised Long Island.
I think I did know that. I did know that.
My dad's a diehard Yankee fan to this day, which is funny because I think my grandpa was a Giants fan. So there was always constant conflict in the house there. But born and raised Yankee fan. And that was kind of the main sport in our house. We weren't really into football or anything, but me and my wife are into college football and the NFL and stuff. So
Okay. I grew up in Pennsylvania, so as a kid, I was a Phillies fan, only because my father was. But then
By default,
I moved to,
yeah.
yeah, by default. But then when I got old enough to start thinking, and I moved to Boston, pretty much of a Red Sox fan. In
Makes
fact,
sense, yeah.
this is not a sad comment. This is a nice comment. Unfortunately, my father passed away in 2004, and one of his last words to me were, "Well, your Red Sox finally won the World Series."
Oh my goodness.
I said, "Oh, that was nice of him." Let's do our viewer comments. And Lainey, do you want the odds or the evens? Do you want to get in on the act? Alexis, and read some of our comments?
Yeah, sure, why not?
So why don't we do every other? You want to start, Lainey, or do you want me to start?
I can start.
Okay.
So Jim Prokop says the government in Massachusetts does not care about the taxpayers, even though they continuously gauge the taxpayers every way possible.
That's true. They gouge the taxpayers every way possible. And in my experience, when there have been people that have come up with things like Prop 13 or Prop 2.5 or, other attempts to keep taxes low, they're derided. There was Barbara Anderson, who's passed away, and Jim Browdy, who's on the radio still, I think, that came up with an effort to cap property taxes. And they were just derided and, made fun of. And it's like anybody that tries to get the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to be responsible is just, minimized and marginalized. And it's sad. It's just really sad. And I don't know.
It's like
Number
not real
4.
money.
Mark Snyder, something fishy about the huge aperture invoice. Either that's a misprint, no, it's not a misprint, or that needs to be looked into really close. The state police should have been called on to do that useless report for free.
Yep.
Taxpayers should be cured. Well, they did with Joe Paul, and that didn't get them anywhere.
Well, no, they were missing the blue paint, though, from Joe Paul. He didn't do the blue paint, so they needed, what was it, 400, 500 grand? All on paint. That all went to the paint.
Yeah, Aperture ended up raking in a total of $599,753.45 for its work ahead of and in the second trial, with the first invoice dated September 30th, 2024, and the last June 18th of 2025. So yeah, just a little bit short of $600,000 for blue theater paint. Oh my gosh. And I'm sure you read into it as we did. We haven't talked about this, but they also billed for a hat and shoes.
Yeah. I'm surprised.
Like,
Did they? I forget. Did they invoice for the underpants as well too? They did.
I heard
right?
somebody talking about that. I didn't myself see it. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of pages of stuff. I didn't see that. Did you?
I feel like I saw it and maybe even made a video on it. I remember seeing underwear and I'm like, excuse me.
I really don't want to go there. Thank you.
Yeah.
So why don't you read the next one?
At Esther Hahn. That's the most expensive DUI in American history. Disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, early in my career, not so much anymore, but early in my career, I did a fair amount of OUI defense, and they're very adamant about drunk driving law in both Massachusetts and New Hampshire, the two states I'm licensed in. They're very adamant about it, and they're pretty tough. The prosecutors, really push the cases. They don't give you a lot of slack, especially if you don't want to plead the case out. But I've never seen anything. No, never, ever, ever, ever.
No,
never.
not to this extent. And they obviously didn't expect this outcome. I really don't know what kind of outcome they expected, to be honest.
I think they expected to
convict her on something. Yeah.
Have her found guilty. Yeah, I really think that they were dead set on it.
All right, so EOI, we're just going to leave it at
idea.
that.
I can't help you on that one.
After Alexis was done with the prosecution's experts, it seems like they either helped the defense more than the prosecution, or they were discredited at least to the point of reasonable doubt, and I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
He was an awesome attorney. Well, he is an awesome attorney. But when they brought him in, Alex, I don't know what you thought, but I thought, wow, they've already got, Alan Jackson, and they've got David Yannetti and Elizabeth Little. And I mean, what a team they were. What a fantastic team. What do they need another attorney for? And then Alexis came in and chewed up all the Commonwealth's experts.
Yeah, and it's not to say I don't think that David Gannetti would have done a particularly bad job, but this is what he lives and breathes, Bobby Alexis.
Yeah.
Like, this is what he loves, and based on his background too, I think he said he went to pharmaceutical school or something to that extent. So he's just a really interesting, fascinating guy. I think he's starting his own podcast too.
Oh no, we're going to be blowing out of the water.
Which will be interesting. So he's just one of those people where he is the smartest person in the room every single time, but just so fascinating, and you hang on to every single word he says, and the way he just dismantled Welcher and Burgess. I mean, it was just chef's kiss all the way.
And he made it look so easy, and it's
He
not.
did.
I mean, I don't like cross-examining experts because they are, in their area, they are smarter than the rest of us. They really are. And you got to stay up late at night doing your research and trying to attempt to get to know what it is that they're saying within their field of expertise. And so, but Alessia made it look easy, and I'm just telling you it's not. It's not an easy job. Oh, I like this one. And John Hines, I edited this just a little bit, so accept my apologies, but I liked this one. One unused dog expert, $10,858. One unconstitutional buffer zone, $1,400. One mob lawyer, $566,000. Two fake experts we just talked about, $599,735. One SUV rental, $937. One bumper repair, $675. One DUI conviction, priceless. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's taxpayers. So this is a common, I thought that was well written. This is a common theme, that it's the taxpayers. They don't care. The politicians just don't care.
They don't. Well, yeah, and Morrissey, too. I'm sure you guys saw this. He was asking the House Speaker, one of the House Speaker friends that he has, for more money. So, I mean, it's just, it really is just, how out of tune do you have to be? And it's almost like, not that he's like on celebrity status, but it's the same lack of self-awareness that a lot of these millionaires and billionaires have about how any of this stuff works in day to day. Just regular people, they don't care because they just have unlimited resources accessible to them.
Yeah, it's like it's not real money.
It's not real. It's not real to them.
Yeah, we did do an episode. Are you talking about the time that Morrissey called the House Speaker and asked him for $1 million?
Yep.
And
a cool $1 million.
They appropriated $1 million, but it was divvied up amongst, I think there's 14 counties in Massachusetts, and they divvied it up, and he only got $500,000. Aw.
Yeah, womp
womp. We need sound effects in these lives, and that's our list. We have 80 countries that have commented, and we haven't gotten any new countries for a couple of weeks. Should we do the Kohberger ones or skip the Kohberger ones?
It's up to you. You want to just do them?
Yeah, we'll do them. It's your turn, Alexis.
All right, let's see if I don't butcher this one. At Monavec, 2982, excuse me. BS, collectively stabbing 4 people over 100 times and beating KG like that in less time than it takes me to smoke a cig. No way. I still wonder if a full confession wasn't required because they were worried BK wouldn't know the details that the killer should know. Not saying he's innocent, but there's so much more to the story in my opinion.
See, that's what we're getting from our commenters. That's why. That's what we're getting. We're getting questions.
There's a lot of people too. Some people that have reached out to me and asked, again, kind of like you guys asked me. But I'm kind of with Lainey on this one.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. UT community guest. There's a lot of new information in the documents. There was blood DNA found at the crime scene. I'm not talking a single touch of DNA. I'm talking about multiple DNA samples under the fingernails of all the students. I don't know why these DNA samples weren't talked about.
Well, they have been talked about, actually. UT community guest. Then we go to 3. Why Johnny Ringo? Johnny Ringo. Oh, see, we're fair. We're fair. We allow all comments. Attention, Kohbergers. Your hero is never getting out of prison. Go visit him and be sure to put money on his account. He's going to need lots of cigarettes now. Well, I don't know that he smokes, but I think cigarettes are a bargaining tool in certain circumstances.
He might take it up. Who knows? Do they? They don't do the e-cigarettes, do they, in prisons?
I don't
they
know.
still do the old-fashioned.
Wouldn't that be contraband?
I think it all would be, wouldn't it? Because are there some prisons? I feel like there are some prisons that don't even allow it, right? Or am I just delusional and watching too many prison TV shows?
I'm going to have to do some research on that. That's a good question, and I do not know the answer. If any of our viewers know the answer to that, I don't know. Whose turn is it? I've lost count.
I already lost track.
I think it's mine. I'll
Okay.
cue it up. At Howard Phillips Lovecraft. There should be a law against blurring faces and redacting text in evidence.
I responded to this one, and the answer that I gave in our comment section was check out our comment section, folks, because I do respond to a lot of these. I can't get all of them because we've gotten to the point where we get so many comments that I can't get to all of them. But my response to this is I think that they did over redact and they over blurred faces in the photographs that were released, but they have to really. I mean, they have to protect confidentiality of certain people. They have to protect confidentiality, of course, of minors and of personally identifiable information. The thing that's controversial, and we got into this a little bit in our last episode, was the alternate suspects. I think we all know who they are if you followed the case, if you read the documents, if you read YouTubers. I think we have at least a half a dozen potential or more alternate suspects. But, so they do have to redact certain stuff. But I would agree with this comment to the extent that I think that they've overreacted.
All right. Spirit Moon Intuitive. I love your show. Thank you both. I never bought the frozen shock phase excuse if you aren't getting a response from your calls or texts. Hear screams. See an unidentified masked man. Hear commotion. See a roommate unresponsive on the floor. You call 911. You don't call your friends to come over. Yeah, I don't know.
And we always end these episodes that we talk about this with the Idaho 4. We have to remember that it's all about them. Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle. I do have strong feelings about, the families. People talk about closure, and there's not closure. There's really not. In a case like this, the parents are going to live with this, their loved ones, their siblings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So enough about that. That's all I had on the agenda for tonight. I mean, I don't know, Alexis, you want to get any more into the Reed case, or have we kind of beaten it like a dead horse?
I mean, it seems like last I heard in terms of what's going on specific to Karen Reed is she's got. I guess she's getting her Alexis back finally.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I haven't heard anything much after that other than that being confirmed, I think, by her attorney.
What happened is that Howie Carr has said that he knows someone who is a car repair person in Weymouth, Massachusetts, which is south of Boston, and they were able to arrange that guy in Weymouth, Massachusetts to accept the car. As far as I know, the car has been transferred there. There are a lot of problems. I think the center console and the electronics need to be replaced, and the taillight was never. Now, the taillight is going to be relatively minor, I would think. I've had to replace a taillight, but the other stuff... so I do not, that's all I know is that it was going to be transferred to a dealer or a repair facility in Weymouth. And beyond that, I have no idea. Maybe
But why
somebody
does the
else.
third party have to get involved? It's ridiculous. It's not.
It was volunteering. He was volunteering.
Yeah, but why is it taking a volunteer? That's ridiculous. It's the state's responsibility, I feel, in this situation to get it back to her.
Well, I don't understand the whole, and again, this is probably just because I don't understand all the ins and outs of the legalities of it, but why does there need to be a formal request made to get those items back to begin with? Like, wouldn't you want, like, aren't you just paying to host and hold that evidence, specifically a car, which would take up, an SUV would take up quite a bit of space that you could be using for a different vehicle, perhaps, in a different
It's just
criminal
unlimited
case?
fake money. It's not real. It's just
exactly.
I think the issue was that the prosecution was actually willing to give it up, but they wanted a court order just to protect their you-know-whats. They just wanted CYA, and they applied for a court order, and the court gave it to them. So that happened right away, if I remember correctly, in the end of July. It's just the logistics of the whole thing. I mean, why, Alexis? Did you want to see Adam Lally himself in his
driving,
in his garage clothes,
him smoking his Marlboro Reds, rolling
down
up,
underneath the car?
eating a sandwich, maybe slurping on, because there was a photo too during, I think, Judd Welcher's slide presentation of I think it was of Trooper Paul, and he had his big 7-Eleven cup in her frickin' center console while
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's I
missed
forget
it.
what day of his testimony it was. I think it might have been the first or second day, but yeah, I think it was him. I'm just like, God, I don't know if I would even want that. I don't even know if I would want that car back, but I don't know. Maybe, probably for her civil suit, I'm assuming would be useful for it to be in her possession.
I think I might be wrong, but I think it's just for the point of it. I mean, give me my freaking car back. I was found not guilty on all the major charges against me, and they don't confiscate your car in a simple OUI. Now, an aggravated, sure. If it's an aggravated OUI with a fatality, sure. But in a run-of-the-mill case, no. So I think it was just the point of it. Give me my stuff back, and if I were her, I don't know. I'd sell it and get another car. You know?
Well, that's the other thing, or put it in the Smithsonian or something like that.
I don't know. So, Lainey, do you have any closing thoughts?
I'm glad she's getting her car back. It feels like we're still going to be talking about this case for the next 5 years to come because it's never ending. I feel like there's always something, especially with all the adjacent cases surrounding it. There's no universe that we don't have to deal with this. I just wish that it didn't have to be like this. I wish that all these resources weren't being put into the situation. I wish that you didn't have to fight to get your car back to have someone else try to fix it for free. The whole situation is just unreal, but unfortunately the reality we live in.
My closing thought is that, we are going to be talking about this for a number of years because of the other three cases that Alexis was talking about. The Miles King case, the Aiden Turtleboy Kearney case, and the Brian Walsh case is coming up for trial next month.
Yep.
And the motion to suppress was allowed only a little bit in part, but mostly not in part. That's been appealed. That's been appealed up to the Massachusetts appellate courts. And so I doubt if much will come from that, but, I shouldn't be so cavalier about it because it's out there. So I don't know. That'll be something to watch. Now, I forget. Do you know, Alexis, are they going to stream that one? I hope so.
Yeah. They've been pretty good about streaming a lot of his court hearings to begin with, so I think that's definitely something that will probably be streamed by the bigger networks like Court TV and all of them. The Miles King case, though, probably not.
That's too bad because that's an interesting case, and it's the same cast of characters. It's the same cast of characters in the Norfolk District Attorney's Office, and it'll be interesting to see how they dance around not putting Proctor on the stand or putting Proctor on the stand. I mean, how can they put him on the stand? I mean, good grief.
I mean, the same way that they didn't put him on the stand in the Karen Reed trial, retrial. It's not surprising. I don't know if you guys caught that hearing, I think a couple of months ago, where they put Lally on the stand.
Yes.
Yeah. That was and then they just dropped it, and I guess that's been tabled for now. They're not going to continue that.
He was supposed to come back, and he did go back, and Proctor went back, and that they never reached that. They were arguing evidentiary issues that day, and they were arguing other issues that day, and the judge was kind of pushing back on some of the defense's arguments. So that was kind of surprising to see. So that's kind of up in the air. Are they going to put Lally back on the stand? Are they going to put Proctor on the stand? Because Proctor was there. He didn't go in the courtroom, but he was there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know. That was interesting to see that. I mean, I don't know. It's a crazy time. You had mentioned the two people that are running for DA against Mr. Morrissey. I had not heard that rumor that he might not even run. I've heard people talk about maybe he won't, but I actually lined up one of the candidates, and then my office got too busy that week. So I should probably do an episode with the two candidates that I know about that are running.
That would be great. Yeah, I know a lot of people will be fascinated because a lot of people, from what I've seen at least, feel there's a definite side that feels that some of them haven't been as vocal about a lot of the corruption going on in Norfolk County. So it might be a good opportunity for them to address some of those questions too if you do it in like a live format. But I'd definitely do it.
I guess the final thing that's going to drop pretty soon, and we're waiting any day for Mark Bettero to file his motion to dismiss the Aiden Carney case. I mean, he's been talking about it. We saw his letter back in July. So I forget what channel I saw him talking about it, probably Mike Crawford's. That he really can't talk about it, but it was obvious that he was working on it. And there's a lot of big issues that are going to go into that motion. Okay, I'll leave it to you two. Alexis, at the end of every episode, we ask our viewers that have stayed with us through the whole thing to drop an emoji. What emoji should we ask them to drop this week?
Ooh, I mean, it could be a baseball in honor of the could be
Good
a baseball.
idea.
Yeah, drop your baseball emojis.
A baseball or a baseball bat, because the kid was given a baseball bat signed by the player. So, Alexis, thank you so much. We really appreciate your coming. I will put a link down below to your channel because I love your stuff is great because you inform us and you dig into the documents and give us a good meaning of what's happening, but you also make me laugh. So.
Well, good. I'm glad. I can't make my wife laugh, but if I can make everybody else laugh, then
I'm sure you can. Yeah, I often have woken up in the morning and saw your episodes, and it's just I start laughing out loud. So.
Well, thank you. No, I love being on here, and I appreciate you guys making it work. I know it's been a little hard coordinating, but I appreciate being invited on. It's always a joy talking to you guys.
Yeah, we love having you on.
You just hit 10,000. Congratulations.
I did.
Congratulations. That's fantastic. And you did it pretty fast, too, actually, which is good.
Yeah,
it's frustrating.
It took a year, but I never expected it. When you start these things, you're speaking to nobody, and then people just start flooding in over time. So hopefully we're on our way to 10,000 more. We'll see.
Yeah, good luck.
You'll
good
get
luck.
there soon. In less than a year, you're going to get that 10,000 more. I'm calling even less than 6 months.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
No, thank you so much for joining us. We love having you on, and we will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Be nice.
Whether you are in the grocery store, the gas station, or anywhere else, please remember to be kind to people. You don't know what they're going through. And the same goes for our comments section. We want you to comment, but be nice, be kind, be positive if you can. And thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Have a good one.